Welcome, esteemed listeners, to Soulful Insight, a platform dedicated to revealing profound truths and astonishing insights aimed at enriching and nourishing your soul. Your host, Gigi Gina.
Hey everyone, it's your lovely host, Gigi Gina, here at Soulful Insight Podcast. And I know it's been a minute since we talked. I was under the weather. I was very sick. So I am now up and ready to roll with you guys again. So I know it's been a minute, but now we're going to finish up on episode 4, part 3, which is navigating the storm and overcoming bitterness after a breakup, part 3. And so if you have not been listening, part 1 of episode 4 was talking about the bitterness of a woman after a breakup. Part 2 was the bitterness of a man after a breakup. And now we are on part 3, where the bitterness of a breakup, how it affects the children, and also dealing with of how bitterness can contribute to co-parenting. So that is what part 3 is all about. And I know all of my listeners have their important tools, which is your blanket, your notepad, your pen, and your favorite drink. So we can get wrapped up in our blankets and get cozy, so we can go ahead and dive into this crucial topic, because part 3 is a topic that I see a lot when I'm dealing with my legal cases. And I am not an attorney, but I am a legal consultant of my own business, which is called DeJure, DE''Jure, Life Note LLC. And so I deal with a male client or a female client. It always stems about bitterness. They done broke up, either they're divorced, and now the child is in the middle, or their children is in the middle. So this is why I really wanted to touch base on part 3, because it's not just about you bitter or he's bitter. It's more of, once you have broke up, how does it affect the child? What does the child actually go through when one or both parents are bitter? So we're going to go ahead and dive on in. Now, once I am done, if you do have some legal questions or legal concern, and with your co-parenting or trying to figure out how to co-parent, just please email me either here at Soulful Insight Podcast, and that's Soulful Insight Podcast at gmail.com, or you can email me at DeJure, DEJURE, Life Notes LLC at gmail.com, and put whatever your concern is, and I will definitely get back with you and reach out to you and address whatever concerns dealing with your co-parenting issue or family law issue, or point you in the right direction. Now, let's go ahead and get started. And so if you're ready, I know I'm ready. I've been so eagerly ready to talk to you guys. So let's go ahead. Everybody knows when you break up, either one or both parties, when there's a child involved, will be bitter. Society has stemmed a lot on the female becoming the more dominant, bitter one after a breakup, especially when there's a child involved, because then that's when the child becomes a pawn. And I clearly want to cut that stereotype, because it's not just always the female. It's just, you don't hear about men coming bitter, and when there's a child involved, using the child as a pawn as well. So I really want to X out that stereotype, because it doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. If there is a child involved, either parent or one or the other will become bitter. And so therefore, it's going to cause the child to be the middle. But I also want everybody to understand the child and is not to be used as some sort of property, to where if one of you bitter, he's mine or they're mine, you can't get them. We got to stop that, because it affects the parent that is not bitter And y'all, I'm so sorry, but I'm like I said, I'm just recovering over being sick, and so you may hear me cough a lot, and I do apologize or try to clear myself, and so just bear with me. That's not what a child is here for. If you're bitter, go seek help. No child or children should be deprived from their other parent if it is not any abuse involved. I don't care if it's verbal abuse, I don't care if it's physical abuse, mental abuse, or emotional abuse. If none of that is your issue with the other parent, then no child should be isolated from that other parent because you are bitter. Let's clear that air first. So now, breakups and child custody battles can be very impactful, leading a lasting emotional and psychological scars on everyone involved. The bitterness can often accompany these experiences, can affect not only the couple, but also their children, their family, and their friends. Now, what happens when it becomes the bitterness involved with the child? Then you have the emotional toll on parents of the child. We all know that the relationship has ended, and when it's ended, it's accompanied by a range of negative emotions. Bitterness is the number one, where you're being bitter because you feel betrayed, you feel lost, you're angry, you're sad. And these emotions can be intensified during a custody battle, where both parents may feel the need to fight for their rights as parents. The stress and the anxiety from the legal proceedings can escalate feelings of bitterness, sometimes leading to a prolonged resentment and hostility. So you got to understand that's why in episode 4, part 1 and part 2 of this topic, I stress how it is very important you seek help, especially when there is a child involved. Because when that bitterness sets in, you're not reasonably thinking. You're not trying to reason. You're not trying to cooperate. You're not trying to come at a median where you want to resolve co-parenting because you've lost everything in a relationship and the child is the only thing that connects you and the ex together. So that's why the child becomes this pawn in the middle of both of y'all madness. And it should not be, because you both are trying to hold on still to each other, because that is the last thing y'all have left of showing something of y'all being together. So that's when it comes in, well, I'm not going to let you see the child if you don't come back to me. Or your ex moved on, got somebody else new, and now you're mad, oh, well, I'm not going to let you see the child because you done got something. You think that's going to help if you're trying to win them back? Do you really think being like that is going to help? It's not. So that's why it's very important you go get help. Because once you are bitter, you're not thinking about the impact on the children or the child. Children becomes really vulnerable in these situations because they feel torn between their parents. They love you both. Then they're confused because now number one lifestyle of having both parents in the home, now they're no longer together in their little mind. Now the changing of my family dynamics is not going to be the same, because now we finna move and get a new place. I'm with mommy. I like my room where I was at with mommy and daddy in the same house, or daddy's gone and I'm used to him doing things with me when he comes home, so he's no longer going to be doing that. And then they start worrying about their future. So when bitterness between the parents spill over into their interactions with their child or children, it causes emotional distress on the child or children. A child or children might feel guilty, thinking they're the cause of the conflict. They may internalize the negativity between both of you, leading to issues such as anxiety, depression, and behavioral problems. The child will start acting out. And now you're mad with the child because why? They're crying too much. They're beating up on their siblings. They're being antisocial. Now you're mad. It stems from you two haven't addressed your bitterness, and now you done broke up, still bitter, and it's now let it brood. It's done got worse, and now you both of you trying to hold on to this child as a pawn just to get the other one back, and not realizing you're ripping that child or children apart mentally, physically, emotionally, and you're wondering why they're acting out. They should not take on your madness. They're innocent human beings that just need to stay as children or a child and let them paint their world just as colorful as possible. And you wondering why, and I've worked in this environment in mental health. You wondering why so many kids now is being classified as ADHD. Oh, something wrong with my kid. You're taking them mental health, they're ADHD. No, look at the background of the parents before classifying these children and labeling these children or child as ADHD because you can't get your madness straight. Quit using these kids as a pawn. You're pulling them back and forth, thinking they're property. And you wondering why you got to go to a mental counsel. You wondering why you got to figure out why they cutting up. Well, because they're stressed out because they think they're the issue. They're thinking that they are the cause of why you two not together. And it has nothing to do with them because whatever situation that caused you guys to break up, bitterness has set in, and now you're angry, you're mad, you're feeling betrayed, you're feeling lost, confused, and you're sad, and you don't let all that brood over the last 3 to 6 months, a year, and you're not sitting there letting this child know it has nothing to do with them. This was long overdue. It has nothing to do with you. But what you do, you put that weight on that child, and it spills over into the child. Quit taking these kids down to mental health and saying, oh, they have ADHD. Half of these children that's on ADHD medication don't really need it. You need to figure out your own madness and heal from being bitter after a breakup or divorce. And I'm sorry, but when it comes to kids, I'm very passionate about them. And like I said, it's too many family law cases that come across my desk, and it's the same scenario over and over and over again. The same exact scenario, just different people with different names and different backgrounds. But it's the same exact thing I see every day that comes across my desk. When my secretary brings me in a case and she said, oh, it's a family law dealing with the child, I don't even have to look at it. I just asked who has the child. And when she briefs me a little bit about what was told to her, I already know where it's going to go. I already know that bitterness has already set in. And I already know what I am up against in handling the case. So this is why I really wanted to touch on this part of bitterness, because it needs to stop. These are innocent children that you bring into this world that should not be wrapped up in your foolishness of you being bitter after a breakup or after a divorce. Because the child should not be taken away or have no dealings with the other parent because you are bitter. That is wrong to do that to that child. A child needs both parents, whether you're together or not. That child's relationship with their other parent has nothing to do with you unless that child comes back being physically abused or verbally and mentally abused. But if that is not the case, nobody should deprive that their children or child from seeing or interacting with that other parent because you are bitter. The repercussions of being a bitter breakup And the custody battles can extend beyond the immediate family. Friends, extended family members might feel compelled to take sides, leading to a strained relationship and social isolation from one or both parties. The community may also be affected, particularly if it conflicts becomes public or involves legal intervention to draw attention. And y'all know it has happened. Don't sit there with your mouth wide open like, what? Yeah, you know it. It has happened. Why has it happened? Because of the fact, anytime something goes wrong, what do? Which I'm not saying is wrong. It needs to be done sometimes, but some of y'all have went bonkers where you got to whip your camera out and record everything and publicly put it on social media sites. And what it does, you're trying to get something out of nothing. Instead of you dealing with your madness behind closed doors, you want to just publicly put it everywhere. I see it so many times on Facebook. I'm about so sick of Facebook. I'm so sick of TikTok because I see it every day. Pulling out the camera. I can't even get my child. Look what she doing. Da da da. Now you don't put it on Facebook. I don't want to see your madness. Why I don't want to see it? Because it's just entertainment to me. Who you should be showing that to if you can't see your child is go to an attorney or go to legal aid. You should be taking notes right now. Get an attorney or go seek legal aid for assistance to help you get an attorney or contact someone like me that knows a legal consulting agency and say, hey, I can't get my kid. And every time I go get my kid, this is what I'm faced with. And I have video that collaborates with what I'm saying. And can you help me? Not post it on social media for the whole world to see because you won't like. And exposing your children to the world, publicly humiliating them even more. You're not thinking about your children by posting stuff on social media. You're thinking about yourself, but just to get views and just to get the society to talk about what's being seen. And half of the people is wrong because they don't know the whole issue. It may be a reason why she would not allow you to see your child. Were you abusive? Were you abusive to her in front of the kids? Were you abusive to the child? It may be a reason, but you got all these comments coming behind, oh, she good for nothing. Oh, she wrong. You're posting something that's causing more damage to your child because you don't know what mother know your child and their child is going to the same school your child is. So now your child is in school. Oh, we saw your daddy, or we saw your mama. My mama saw your mama posting stuff on Facebook. So how your daddy not with you? Or how your mom. Now the children is being criticized, humiliated, confronted. You're not thinking when you post this stuff on social media how it bottom line affects the child or the children. You're only worried about yourself. Then you got your family involved. Now your family got to choose. And we all know when it comes to breakup, family gonna stick together. We already know that. It doesn't matter how much they liked you. At the end, when it all is said and done, you could have been the best person in the world, but your relationship sucked, which means y'all were not good together. The family saw y'all fighting, arguing, whatever. And now it's all over. And you may have a good relationship with the mama, you may have a good relationship with the sisters, the cousins, the brothers, whatever. But because you two can't get along for the sake of the child, oh, no, she can't come over. I don't want her over. I don't want them over. Nobody talks to them. You know, we all done said that. And then you have some family members were like, you don't have to talk to them, but they didn't do anything to me. So I'm going to say, hey, how you doing? And keep it moving. When you go through a breakup and you are so bitter and now you're going through a child custody, it doesn't matter if you was just a domestic relationship. And what I mean by domestic is just you and the partner. Y'all were never married. Keep that in. That's another note. If you have family law and you have to go to court, they're going to consider your relationship as domestic. Okay, which means y'all were never married. If you are married, they're going to consider it as a divorce. Okay. When bitterness plays, especially in child custody arrangement, I'm so disgusted about the things that I have had to come across in the legal cases. Because some of y'all bitter can be so nasty. I've seen it from small, very big, taking kids out of the country just because you're mad and bitter with the ex. Not like I say, I've seen it big and I've seen it small. But when you are bitter, it's a lot of things, especially in a child custody arrangement, that it affects. It affects your way of thinking, your decision making. When you are so consumed by bitterness, you struggle to make a rational decision regarding the best interests of the child or children. By you being bitter, it prolongs legal battles and make it difficult in reaching an amicable agreement. Which means now the judge, because y'all can't decide on what days, how you want to do it, now the judge gonna send you to a mediator because y'all can't act like two grown adults. Because why? You still bitter. You can't communicate. When you are bitter, it affects your co-parenting. You're already making rational decisions. So you can't communicate clear and respectfully. Your bitterness will have you in a situation where your communication is so poor, can hinder the ability of you co-parenting effectively. I'm coming to get Joe Blow. You just look at the text, you won't even reply back. I'm sitting here waiting to get Joe Blow. You won't reply back. Or you reply back, I ain't coming. Or I'll come, you better not have that person with you. Well, they with me, I ain't coming then. We done did it. We done saw it. We know it. We know of someone that has done it. Your co-parenting becomes stupid in communicating, not realizing the emotional impact it has on the child or children. It is very detrimental to the child because it affects them by having negative emotions and tensions between their parents. I sat down, heard you talk about the other parent. So when it's time to go to that other parent, they hollering, they screaming, they this, they that, they, oh, I don't want to go, I don't want to go. Hollering and screaming because they don't heard what you said. So you have not made it safe enough or comfortable enough for them to say, when you tell them you're going to see your daddy, okay, mommy, love you. Okay, dad, love you. You're not saying, baby, have fun. They hear that. They absorb all of that. And what that leads is to emotional distress, anxiety, and behavior issues in the child or children. They get tensed up. Why? Because you sitting there talking. You probably talking on the way taking them. I got to take you over here for your good for nothing daddy. Man, I got to take you to your no good mama. So they hear that the whole time they hear you fussing about it. Either to whoever you're on the phone with or who in the car with you. Because you know you ain't going to go by yourself. Not doing the exchange of the child. You're not going to go by yourself. Because you waiting for something that just to click off. So you're going to bring somebody with you. And the person you bringing ain't the one that got common sense. The one that you bringing is the one that you know that's going to act the plumb fool right along with you. But if you had some sense, you will bring someone with you that can reason with both of you guys. Then this is my favorite. This is my number one thing that comes across my desk in the family law, child custody battle is the parental alienation. This is the number one thing that I have to deal with in all of my family law cases that's dealing with the child. Because you're so bitter, now you want to play this, I'm not finna let him see the child. I don't care. It'll be months before she see him. Now we're playing the parental alienation game. And while you're doing that, you are literally turning the child against the other parent. You're turning those children against their mother or their father because you're bitter. And this can harm the relationship between both of you. And that's what you don't understand. You think, oh, by keeping the child away from the other parent, that child gonna love you more. No, it's gonna cause a problem between the child is gonna have a relationship problem between both of you. And you think this is gonna help you in court? You think you're finna get some brownie points for this by keeping the child away from the other parent? Because what you and need to write this down, what you need to understand is that the courts frown on stuff, especially when it comes to parental alienation. They frown on it because they're seeing that you're not even mature enough to put your bitterness and your own issues aside and do what is best in the interest of the child or children. And you think the court finna decide, oh, okay, well, we're going to side with her. No, obviously, you're not providing a good, nurturing environment because regardless of what you got going on, you're so bitter till you can't put your own feelings aside and concentrate on your child or children and let this child see the other parent. Let this child be involved with the other parent. But some of y'all, I'm good. I can raise them by myself. Okay. You try to raise Freddy Krueger, Chucky, and Michael all in one household. And you tell me you don't need the other parent. Okay, I'll wait on it. Just know when you go to court, it ain't about you. It ain't about the other parent. Don't, I can't stress the fact of when a parent is so bitter, they use the court to try to favor on their side. The court don't care about you nor the other party. It has nothing to do with neither one of you. The court only focus on the best interest of the child. And if you coming out acting the fool, if the court can see your excessive bitterness and how you're being hostile towards the other party, and if the other party has evidence showing how you being hostile and you cutting the fool on them and texting them crazy stuff, oh, it's not finna go in your favor. It's gonna go to that other parent, and the judge is gonna grant that other parent their visitation rights, and that child gonna end up having days or may even end up as the other parent being the primary custodial parent. Because the judge is going to look at you because they can see your bitterness and they can see your hostility towards this other parent, that you can't even provide a stable and nurturing environment for this child. I've seen it too many times where people come, how did they get cut? I would have them first. It don't matter. What did you do? Well, the other party submitted evidence that you was being threatening. Your negative behavior is what's going to cause your child to be permanently with somebody else. So then y'all done went through mediation and now there's a co-parenting plan and you still bitter. You don't want to adhere to that. I don't want to do it. I know what the judge said, but I'm not going to do it. Okay, you ain't got to do it. You don't have to do it at all. But if that other party takes their little 2 feet and go down there to that court and pull them papers, contempt the court on you, and a date is set for a hearing for them to show how you have not adhered to the co-parenting plan because you are so bitter, and when the judge look at whatever evidence they have submitted, 2 things can happen. Well, a lot can happen. The judge can just slap you on the wrist and say, don't do it again. Or he can fine you for wasting his time to hear this foolishness because you can't adhere to what was agreed through the mediator. And then what happens is, if he don't fine you, he may let the bailiff go ahead and take you and put them little silver bracelets on you, and then you're going to hear that theme song in your head from Law and Order. Dun, 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 dun. You're going to hear that theme song when them doors close because you want to act ignorant and you don't let your bitterness set in for so long till, again, you can't even make an irrational decision and follow what the judge or what you and the other party has agreed upon for visitation. Or to say the judge don't put you behind bars. He don't fine you. Well, if you keep the child away from the other parent, let's just say a year, the judge can grant a year of makeup time. to where you won't see your child for a whole year. Why? Because you didn't do what the judge asked you to do. So now the judge has granted a whole year for this child to be with the other party. So you can play with them judges if you want to and think you miss bad or missed the bad if you want to, and go down there to that court and showing all this ignorance and your bitterness and don't adhere to a co-parenting plan thinking, oh, I do what I want to do. Okay, you can do what you want to do. But at the end, you're going to lose if you don't have a valid reason of why you are keeping this child away from this parent. Forget bitterness. If you don't have something concrete to prove why, okay, this was a parenting plan, but my child came home and said they daddy or their significant other was saying this, or did this, that, and other, and you still can't keep the child away from the other party if it did happen, because now you got to go and do a domestic violence order, a restraining order. And if that judge don't give you a temporary restraining order, you still got to adhere to the co-parenting plan until you go to court on both. So stop being stupid and stop being ignorant and doing the dumb stuff, which is causing more hurt and more pain to your child or your children because you are bitter. People, you got to wake up. You got to wake up and stop playing this mind game with your children and then telling the child, well, that's why your daddy didn't want you. That's why your mama didn't want you. And the child is growing up hating the other parent because what you have instilled in their mind, not knowing the whole reason why this child has not seen the other parent is because of your bitterness, your sick bitterness, because you can't get over the fact that y'all are no longer together. It's crazy. It's crazy how you do the children. It's crazy that you are so bitter, you cannot think about putting your bitterness aside and solely focus on a stable and nourishing environment for your child or your children. And then you walking around here talking, I'm so stressed out. Duh. You wonder why? You wonder why? You wonder why you're stressed out. You're causing all of this on yourself. Yes, being broken up can automatically be stressful enough. But when you put that bitterness in, it don't just affect you, it affects the other parent as well. Your mental and physical state, period. And when you become stressed, then you lack the ability to care for your own child effectively and consistently. And you wonder why. You wonder why your child having emotional distress. You wonder why your child having behavior issues. You wonder why for a long period of time your child is going through all these types of things. Not realizing what you're doing, what you're allowing your bitterness to do to you will eventually trickle down to where it is going to affect your child's adulthood, affecting their relationship when they get older, their self-esteem, and their overall well-being. They're going to be nervous, the anxiety going to set in because of your bitterness, either in you or the other parent. So you say, well, Gigi, okay, I'm wrong. I know I've been doing wrong. I know my bitterness have taken over. And from this day forward, I need to start focusing on my child. How do I do that in co-parenting, with the father or with the mother? If that is your decision that you want to stop being bitter, first, you got to heal first. You got to heal. Go to counseling, go to therapy, seek a spiritual counselor if need be, and get yourself together for the sake of your child or children. Then when you want to co-parent and you want to start effectively doing it correctly, and you want to minimize the negative impact that it's going to have of you breaking up and you're trying to move forward, your first main thing is to focus on your child or children. Put your child's need first. Avoid using them as a pawn in a parental conflict. Then maintain an open communication with your ex-partner for co-parenting. Create a stable environment. Provide a consistent and loving environment for your child, regardless of what your relationship status is or what the other parent relationship status is. Make sure your household is a consistent and loving environment for your child. Then seek co-parenting help, which is a mediator, which is a child's therapist. And then keep in mind your children learn by example. Demonstrate a healthy coping mechanism and a conflict resolution. So that way your children know how to handle certain things when it comes to a disagreement. Demonstrate healthy communication skills with one another. If you feel like you're talking to them on the phone and they're yelling and screaming, hang up. So in Texas, say, hey, I don't mind talking to you, but I will not talk to you in this tone and this manner. When you're able to calm down and you effectively communicate with me, then we can talk about our child or children and let it go. You don't have to necessarily engage in negative conversation or act negative. You don't. If they want to sit there yelling, screaming in your face while you got your child, get in your car and drive off. Not doing it. Not doing it. Now, other things you can do to help support you in the co-parenting is do a custody and a visitation arrangement. The court will help you determine the custody and visitation schedule based on the best interest of the child. Now, keep in mind there are 7, this is another note, you need to write it down. There are 7 different ways that you can do a visitation schedule. But if you can't come up with one, the courts will make one for you in the best interest of the child. Okay? Support. If it's financial support you need, go to child support. Set up child support guidelines. Then, of course, again, the court will set a mediator and an arbitrator for you. And what they will do, they will help both parents reach an agreement outside of court to reduce the conflict and the stress. Now, there are other ways as well. Once you have reached out to a legal system, you've reached out to a legal counselor, a legal consultant agency like me, or you reached out to an attorney. Once you've done all of that, and you say, well, Gigi, I'm here alone. I ain't got no family. All my family back home. I can't really just pack up my kids and go back home. I need some support. I don't have anybody. And that's okay, because there are supports out there. You have a therapy. You have a spiritual counselor. You also have support groups. Support groups are great because you can connect with other parents that are going through some of the similar experiences and can provide valuable support and advice. A therapist, either if you do it as an individual couple therapy, can help address emotional challenges and improve communication. Spiritual counselor, either your pastor or someone that you look up to spiritually, someone in the church, they can help you on a spiritual level of how to address issues like this. The court is automatically going to have both sides, both parents, attend a parenting class. It's normally 4 hours in the state of Florida. It varies in other states. It's a long list, but if you're in Florida, I know right off the bat it's 4 hours. Okay. The court is automatically going to have you attend that, and you will have to take the certificate and present it back to the court saying you have taken a parenting class. Okay. Then go with, if your child seems to be struggling with their emotions, if they're isolating themselves, go have your child seek a therapist. Okay. And so that way that therapist can see what is in the best interest of the child and provide them some type of support and guidance. And most importantly, if you cannot afford an attorney, contact legal aid. So that way they can assist you with legal matters and point you to the right attorney that could assist you with your financial need. Okay. Now, I hope this has truly helped some people. I'm hoping to help everyone, but especially when it comes down to the kids. We all been hurt. We all have had to break up from a long-term relationship, and you may have a child or children involved. Please stop using your kids as a pawn. They are not a property, nor are they a pawn. They are innocent little human beings that was blessed and given unto you to provide a stable and a nourishing environment, not one that is toxic. Give them what you did not have. Your bitterness will destroy you and your children if you do not seek the right help. Start healing today for the sake of your child or children. They deserve both parents. It doesn't mean you have to be together to co-parent correctly. You can have the best relationship just in co-parenting. But just know your child was not the one that caused your hurt. And your child or children should not be involved in your madness. Give them that opportunity to have both parents. It's too many kids that are being raised up in broken homes. And what I mean by a broken home, it does not necessarily mean the other parent has to be in your home, that they have to have two people living in a home. They can have two parents that's not living in the home, but have the best connection in co-parenting to where they feel that both parents are still in the home with them. Start healing today. Stop being bitter, because your children and your child is depending on your healing. Go seek a therapist. Go seek a spiritual counselor. Start leaning to your support group and give your children what they truly deserve. It's both parents to love them, to guide them, to nurture them. Let them know to raise them up together, and let them live and have a prosperous life. And let them see you able to overcome and live happily with them. That's my time. I love you all. I will see you on our next episode. See you at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. Take care. Be blessed. Good night.